Welcome to Generally Speaking, the post-game edition for Week 5. I'm your host, Angelo. Welcome to the show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at NJ_Generals and follow our YouTube channel at USFL Today. Set your notifications for both. Don't miss an update. Don't miss a post. Don't miss a show as we get them live for you. Generals fans, bad loss for New Jersey today. Very bad loss all around. A 24-21 defeat at the hands of the Philadelphia Stars in Detroit today. The Stars bolstered completely by the leg of Louis Aguiar, who set a USFL record with 8 field goals today, all of them from distance, some of them in the 50s, a couple of them in the 40s, but none of them really chip shots. Give Aguiar credit, and every one of them was straight through. No doubt about those kicks. The Generals shot themselves in the foot continuously today. They came up empty in the red zone 3 out of 4 visits. Darius Victor fumbling it away 3 times, something that we never saw from Darius in the past, and now he is putting the ball on the ground in the last couple of weeks. The Generals just overall played in a fog on offense today, and the defense was the only reason this game stayed close. The defense stood tall. Second week in a row, the offense kind of betraying those efforts. 4 turnovers, 2 bad kickoffs doing the Generals in. New Jersey had more than twice the total yards of Philadelphia, despite running 5 fewer plays, and still lost the time of possession battle. Give Philadelphia a lot of credit. Their troubles lie in the offensive line strength, and they found ways to offset a torrid New Jersey pass rush through quick passes and quick short dropbacks for Case Cookus, keeping the Generals' defensive push at bay. So with that game plan and with the Generals unable to really establish drives once again 2 weeks in a row, the Stars were able to maintain their game plan. The Generals were not able to get them out of what they were trying to achieve today. And at the end of the game, despite the score being 21-all with under a minute to go, you felt like the deserving team was who came out with the W today. The Generals struggled. The Generals made a lot of mistakes. The Generals did a lot of things that under normal circumstances would have had them behind by 30 points. So the fact that the game was close and that they lost by only 3 is not a consolation. There's a lot of alarm bells that should be going off in the New Jersey locker room right now as to why this team hasn't gotten going. You could point to a few different reasons why. Offensively, they just look like they're a shade of what they used to look like. The dynamic explosiveness of Cavante Turpin has not been replaced, and they're just sort of a regular offense now. Warren Newman III made his season debut, and he showed you why they think he can do the kinds of things Cavante Turpin did, at least, in snapshots. However, he did not quite have the sort of game that the Generals were hoping he would give them in terms of being a spark to the offense in the kick return game. So it's back to the drawing board for the Generals as they get ready for a Week 6 matchup in Memphis, their last road game of the season, to face the Houston Gamblers, who have been resurgent, who have been playing great offensively, and who have been playing great defensively. But now let's get into the results of what we saw today on the field for the Generals. And we begin by taking a listen to Coach Mike RIley.
Okay, we were obviously very disappointed to lose the game. I appreciated the effort of both teams to, I think, fight right down to the wire. A lot of good competition out there. I think that the difference in the game was the turnovers. They took care of the football, and we had 4 turnovers, and I know one inside the 5 and maybe a couple in the red zone that obviously took the opportunity for points off the board. And in such a tight game, you can plainly see how that plays out. I think we outdistanced them in yardage by doubling them, something like that, but that doesn't matter when you turn it over to them 4 times. And the other thing I think you found out, and it's actually a pretty neat rule, really changes the game, is how big the kickoff and the kickoff coverage is in our league. I mean, the drive starts, the big plays, it's truly a major weapon as a return team, and then as a kickoff team, you just got to hang on, because I don't think we hardly held them to anything better than the 50 today. Maybe we did once or twice, but I really give credit to their kicker. Eight field goals, correct? It's got to be some kind of record.
It is.
Pretty amazing, pretty consistent, and it wasn't like they were chip shots either. I mean, he hit some really, really clutch, big-time field goals. So, hats off to him. And you know, just when I thought it was going to be fun to start to call some plays during the overtime, because we've never been in one, then it was he wiped it out. So anyway, that's what I think about the game. I'm sticking to it.
Coach Mike RIley succinctly summarizing the Generals' troubles for today. There were some other things that he did not touch on in his opening comments at the press conference, but we'll get into those as we cover the details of this game. The game began with the Generals kicking off to Philadelphia. Nick Skiba booting it deep to the Philly 17, and the Stars were able to return it to the New Jersey 49, which set a precedent for the rest of the game. The Stars did not start any deeper than, I think, maybe their own 45 once. Every other possession began at midfield or in New Jersey territory. And knowing that, you have to give the defense even more credit for holding the Stars to 8 field goals with that kind of field position all day. But with this opening drive, the Stars methodically implemented their game plan, which was going to work for them all afternoon. And it was short passes. It was Cookus, short complete pass to Coleman. It was Colburn with a short run. The good thing that the Stars did was, even though their running game never really got going, they still handed the ball off at times just to keep the play calling balanced to some degree. And it did keep the defense at least questioning what might happen here. But Cookus with another short pass to Coleman again, Colburn with another run. And that was how this opening drive went. The combination of short passes and Colburn runs led to Philadelphia driving all the way into New Jersey territory. The Stars were able to advance all the way to the New Jersey 1-yard line, but that's where the defense stiffened up, and they shut down Colburn for a gain of no yards, a gain of no yards, and a loss of 3 yards. And that's when they called on Louis Aguiar for his first attempt of the day, and his 22-yard field goal was good. The drive lasted 11 plays, 45 yards, 6 minutes and 26 seconds off the clock. So now it's up to the Generals to respond, and they could not. They had to punt, a trend which began last week with 3 and outs, but the defense did its job and held the Stars to having to punt back as well. On the very next play, disaster strikes.
Here goes Victor to the center of the defense. He lost the football, though. Ball comes out here. Offensive line is fighting for it. And Gabe Sewell, who was there, and the offensive line was not able to get on top of it. And it is going to be Stars ball.
As DeAndre Johnson hands the ball off to Darius Victor, who cannot keep his grip on the ball. The ball comes loose, recovered by Sewell for the Stars at the New Jersey 32. And the first big mistake of the day is registered on the tally. That's how the first quarter ended, down 3-0 to Philadelphia. The Stars took advantage, or actually could not take advantage of that good fortune, and were forced into 3 plays, which gained no yards, and they kicked another field goal, stretching the lead now to 6-0. It was 1:26 off the clock, and now the Stars kick off to New Jersey yet again. And on this drive, the Generals finally put a little something together as DeAndre Johnson runs the ball to the Philly 44 for a 12-yard gain. Trey Williams with a nifty 9-yard run to get the ball to the Philly 35. And then DeAndre Johnson went boom.
Johnson takes another carry for himself, and into the secondary he goes. Into the end zone he goes. DeAndre Johnson.
35-yard touchdown, ties the game at 6. Nick Skiba's extra point stretches it to a 1-point New Jersey lead, 7-6. Just like that, the drive took a total of 4 plays, 56 yards, 1:57 off the clock. So once again, New Jersey not a sustainable drive, but a quick drive, which ended up in points. If you remember, we talked about it in the post game, or rather in the pregame yesterday, which was for the Generals to win this game, they had to do three things. One, which was control the clock. Two, get to the quarterback, right? And three, make sure that they make their kicks. So that formula did not quite work out for New Jersey today. On the ensuing Nick Skiba kickoff, the Stars once again get an excellent return, this one by Wright, who takes it all the way to the New Jersey 38-yard line, and that's where the Stars begin their drive, trailing 7-6. They could not get very far. They gained a first down, but then were sacked, so they call on Louis Aguiar to try a long field goal, this one from 56 yards, and he nails it. After the field goal, the teams traded punts as the clock drew closer towards halftime, and New Jersey takes over on their own 39-yard line with 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the half. They were able to drive to the Philadelphia 32-yard line before the offense stalled, so they called on Nick Skiba to try a long field goal of his own. This one from 50 yards, and the kick was good. So the Generals, despite playing terribly, have a 10-9 lead in a minute 22 until the break. Nick Skiba kicks the ball out of bounds, his first big mistake of the game, giving the Stars a very short field before the half with little bits of time to try to drive to take the lead. And that is exactly what they did as they strung together a series of plays, 7 of them, as a matter of fact, for 32 yards to work their way to the New Jersey 16-yard line. A penalty helped them along as well, but the Stars stalled and called on Louis Aguiar one more time before the break, this one from 36 yards, and it was good yet again. So now, with his fourth field goal, the Stars take a 12-10 lead into the break, and that is how the half ended. The Generals get the kickoff to begin the second half, and they start on their own 28-yard line. And on a 3rd and 1 from their 37, they go to their workhorse, Darius Victor, to take it up the middle. But Darius loses 3 yards, fumbles the ball, and it is recovered by Philadelphia at the Generals' 30-yard line. Second big mistake for New Jersey today. Second fumble for Darius Victor. The Stars could only push the ball 11 yards up the field, and it took them 6 plays and 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do it, but the defense shut them down yet again. They do call on Aguiar one more time. He comes on for a 27-yard field goal chip shot for him, and that one was good. So with 10:31 remaining until the end of the third quarter, it's 15-10 Philadelphia. You started to get the sense, I started to get it somewhere around the second quarter of the game, that this was eerily similar to the playoff game last year in Canton in June, where the Stars were playing with all kinds of emotion and the Generals were kind of stuck in mud. After the Aguiar kickoff, the Generals beginning on their own 24-yard line. Again, very poor starting field position for New Jersey. They face a 3rd and 9 and do complete a pass from DeAndre Johnson to Jamon Moore for the first down. But on the play, Johnson comes up injured. So in comes Kyle Lauletta, active for the first time this season. And now he's going to see his first meaningful action as a New Jersey General. He's able to complete 2 short passes to gain a first down. But then on the next play, he's intercepted at the Philadelphia 24-yard line. So the Generals on the move, picked off. It was a nice play. It was tipped by Amani Dennis and in the air picked off by Mozzie Wilkins at the Stars 24-yard line. So another big turnover, serving the ball right back to Philadelphia just as the Generals were getting into range. You had to figure they were at least in range for Nick Skiba to try a field goal, but that opportunity goes by the wayside and Philly takes over. Again, Philadelphia begins to embark on a long drive, something that they have not been able to string together the last 2-3 weeks, but they found a way to do it multiple times against the Generals. And again, a combination of runs by Colburn, a pass to Sewell, another catch by Colburn, and all of a sudden the Stars are starting to get on a roll and they're stringing first downs together as they get all the way to the New Jersey 33-yard line. That's where things stalled yet again. Give the defense continuous credit throughout this game, forcing Philly into a 4th and long situation, and they call on Louis Aguiar again. This field goal attempt is a 51-yarder, and again, it is good. So the Stars stretch their lead to 18-10 with only 1 minute and 20 seconds to go until the end of the third quarter. Aguiar now 6 for 6 on the afternoon. The Generals received the kickoff beginning on their own 40-yard line, one of their better starting field positions of the day. And they were able to travel 7 plays and 50 yards over the course of 3 minutes and 18 seconds. You saw a lot of Trey Williams on this drive. I guess they just wanted Darius to get his head straight on the sidelines. And that's where the third quarter ended, and the Generals moving now at the Philadelphia 25-yard line with a first down. First play of the fourth quarter, Trey Williams runs the ball to the Philly 11, and then he loses 3 yards, and then an incompletion on third down, and it's time for Nick Skiba to come in. Generals losing a golden opportunity to try to score a touchdown here. Skiba comes in, he boots his 28-yard field goal. The guy has not missed a field goal yet this season, and the score is now cut to 18-13 in favor of Philly, and we've got 13 minutes to go in the ball game. On this kickoff, again, another solid return by the Stars. They bring the ball all the way to the 40-yard line of the Generals. Nick Skiba had to make the tackle to prevent the return from going any farther. And Philly could only go 3 plays and 9 yards. Once again, that defense, 2 minutes off the clock. They call on Louis Aguiar to try another long field goal. It's like the same pattern. This game was like Groundhog Day. 49-yard attempt by Aguiar is good. It's now 21-13. Philly with an 8-point lead. You got 10 minutes and 46 seconds to go. The Generals take over on their own 36-yard line. Kyle Lauletta still in the game. DeAndre Johnson watching from the sidelines, and he begins with a couple of completions and a penalty against Philadelphia, and the Generals are right away on the 42-yard line of the Stars, and we're now at 9 minutes left to go in the ball game. Darius Victor runs the ball for 4. Darius Victor runs the ball for 5, and then Kyle Lauletta makes a throw to Jamon Moore at the Philly 24, which is complete for 9 yards. And now New Jersey has a first down, and they're in business. 7:07 to go in the game. Darius with an 11-yard run, taking it to the Philly 13, and then another run down to the Philadelphia 6. And with just 5:39 to go, the Generals banging on the door, trying to tie this ball game. So with 5:39 remaining and a second down, Darius Victor gets the ball, and he is hit and fumbled. The ball comes loose and is recovered by Amani Dennis at the 3-yard line, and the Generals once again come up empty in the red zone. Darius Victor with his 3rd fumble of the day, and the Stars survive once again. They could do nothing with the ball, gaining only 6 yards, only taking a minute and a half off the clock. So they have to give the ball back to the Generals, who are still in this thing miraculously with very little bits of time to go. We're at 4 minutes now. Lauletta is still in the game, and you start to wonder is how serious was the injury to DeAndre Johnson, and is that why Kyle Lauletta is still in the game? Afterwards, Coach RIley explained that it started as Lauletta being in for injury, but then it evolved into him staying in the game because Coach RIley wanted to get him some playing time. Now, that being the case and hearing it right from the coach himself, I'm not sure I agree with that. The starter is your starter, and if he's able to go, then he should have been in the game. Nonetheless, it's Kyle Lauletta under center, and the Generals starting after the punt from their own 45-yard line in 4 minutes and 6 seconds to go. Lauletta throws a completion to Alonzo Moore for 11 yards, and then Trey Williams tears off an 18-yard run, and the Generals are already at the Philadelphia 26. They're sitting with a 4th and 1 from the Philly 17 at the 2-minute warning. And after the break, of course, they decide to go for it. The play call was kind of interesting. It was a wide receiver screen pass to the left side to Jamon Moore. It did gain 2 yards, but there was just something telling to me about that kind of play call in that situation. The announcers called it gutsy. I called it questionable. So it's first down, minute 38 to go. Generals are on the 15-yard line. Darius Victor for 7 yards, Darius Victor for 2 yards, and Darius Victor for another yard to gain a first down. From there, he carries it to the 1-yard line, and the clock is ticking. Second down and goal from the 1. Kyle Lauletta gets the call.
Here it is, the push from his tight ends.
The result of the play was a touchdown.
After much consternation and concentration by Mike Pereira and crew, they did review and determined that Lauletta's knees were up. The ball was in the end zone, and he indeed broke the plane, and the Generals have now cut the lead to 21-19. We've got 20 seconds to go in this ball game.
Lauletta takes his time, has his tight end, and in for the 2.
Two-point conversion was good. Lauletta with a pass to Woody Brandom, and we are knotted up amazingly at 21 apiece. This is where Nick Skiba makes his second big mistake.
Low liner for Terry Wright, who's been great in the return game, and it's another good one as he crosses the 50.
By kicking the ball dead center to Wright one more time, who returned the kickoff all the way to the Generals' 47-yard line with just 13 seconds to go. I'm not necessarily blaming Nick here. That might be a coaching conversation before that kick. Someone has to tell the guy, kick it away from their dude. You need to pin them back and let this clock run out and take this game to overtime. And remember, again, I said that this was eerily similar to last year's playoff game. Brock Miller last year, late in that game with a punt dead center, that they were able to return all the way for a touchdown to win the ball game. So the Generals not learning a lesson from their recent past history to avoid making a similar mistake. And now here are the Stars. It only takes them a couple of plays with the kind of leg that Aguiar has shown today. Of course, it's going to be a long field goal to win it, fittingly so. With just a second on the clock, he lines up for a 55-yarder.
55 for the win. Does he have the leg? Yes!
Drained it.
He drained it. And he needed everything out of that kick to get home, and it did.
He finishes an incredible 8 for 8 on the day, and the Generals go down to the Stars 24-21, and it's just an absolutely agonizing way to lose a ball game. If you thought last week they were kicking themselves after losing to New Orleans, I can't even imagine what this week is going to look like for the Generals as they try to rehash what went down today and start to get ready for a red-hot Houston Gamblers team that they have to go visit in Memphis. All right, let's take a look at the stats of this absolutely terrible 24-21 loss to the Philadelphia Stars in Detroit today. We'll start with the statistics of, let's go with time of possession. The Stars controlling the clock all day. The Generals made it closer later, but there was at one point the Stars had the ball for about 21 minutes and the Generals only for 9. Both teams had the ball 11 times. The Stars actually ran more plays than the Generals, 58-53, despite New Jersey outgaining Philadelphia 354 total yards to a paltry 166. The real story of this ball game is red zone trips, 3 for the Generals with only 1 score. The Stars got into the red zone 4 times, no touchdowns, but they kicked a field goal every time they got into that area. So that was really the telling tale of this ball game. 4 turnovers, 2 bad kickoffs, and that's your ball game, and the Stars take it home. With this win, Philly basically saves their season for the time being, because it would have been a very tall order at 1-4 to claw their way into a playoff position. But now at 2-3 and knocking the Generals down to 2-3, you've got a division of 4 teams, all 2-3 with 5 games to go. So we're essentially at scratch, and now every team has found their footing. Every team has found out kind of who they are in a sense, and it's a short race to the finish line. I'll look at the individual statistics for the Generals. First of all, we'll take a look at the passing stats. For the time that he was in there, you had DeAndre Johnson, 7 for 12 for 79 yards. Of course, he had the long touchdown run for 35 yards. Kyle Lauletta, an efficient 10 for 12, 111 yards passing. He threw that interception, which was a tipped ball, and he did score the touchdown on the sneak. So both touchdowns today for New Jersey coming from the quarterbacks. Leading rusher on the day was DeAndre Johnson, 7 carries, 62 yards. Trey Williams, 8 carries for 52 yards. I got a feeling we're going to be seeing more of Trey next week. Darius Victor getting his most carries of the season, 12 for 49 yards, but he had the unfortunate three fumbles today, which really cost the Generals a chance to win the game. Receiving, Alonzo Moore, 5 grabs, 58 yards. He's becoming the go-to guy now, and it was Jamon Moore, 5 catches for 39 yards. No other wide receivers had a catch today. Actually, Warren Newman with 2 for 4 yards. Newman, not quite the factor. He's still dealing with the toe bothering him, which kept him out of the first 4 games of the season. So I believe he will get stronger as the season goes on. And the Generals are going to need him because it's that dynamic, Turpin-like presence that's missing from this offense. Defensively speaking, what can you say about Chris Orr? The man is a machine. 10 more tackles today. He's got 51 for the season. Paris Ford, who had 10 tackles last week, backs that up with 8 more of his own today. And DeJuan Hines with 7 tackles. Toby Johnson with 6. Shalom Luani with 5. Again, the defense was stellar today. They were facing short fields all day, and they came through every time, holding the Stars to a field goal attempt. How can you know that a guy's going to go unconscious and nail 8 field goals, 3 of them from 50 and beyond? That wraps it up for this week's edition of Generally Speaking, the post-game show. Make sure you follow me, your host, Angelo Fioris, on Twitter at NJ_Generals for all the news, notes, and information you need to know about the New Jersey Generals. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel at USFL Today. We always put new shows up there, not just Generals shows. We also do shows with players from other teams as well. But that's it for this week. Audio highlights courtesy of Fox and the USFL. Thank you as always. We are back Saturday morning, 9 a.m., Fox Sports Radio, New Jersey, 93.5 FM, 1450 a.m. for the Generals pregame show as we get you ready for the Generals on the road in Memphis to face the resurgent 3-2 Houston Gamblers. You can also catch that show on Fox Sports Radio, NewJersey.com. And if you missed the live broadcast, you can catch it archived on the station website. Thanks for listening. Again, the final score, the Generals falling to the Philadelphia Stars 24-21.